Welcome to Let's Make a List on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, 103.3 FM, and online at kpca.fm. Again, this is Let's Make a List show where we talk about pop culture stuff. We make lists, we talk about our choices, and whatever we talk about ends up being on the radio. So, my name is Phil, I'm your host. I host this show every week, and I usually have at least one or two guest hosts, and this week I've got a guest host that you know. You are the honorary co-host of this show.
Oh, shuck it darn dang.
It's true. I say you and Chris and my mom have been on the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We appreciate being thought of.
Oh, well, thank you. So yeah, this is Let's Make a List, Ariel. You know this show from KPCA and from the internet. And so today we're going to be talking about movies. Mm-hmm. Not too surprising. And we're going to be talking about movies where if we had a kid, mm-hmm. These are the rules. I think this was in one of those child raising books, mm-hmm. How to have a kid the new way. It's a new age, but 100% scientifically proven to be correct methods of raising a kid. Is because, kids these days are always watching movies and watching TV. Mm-hmm. So what you do to limit that, because you want to make sure they have time to play with smartphones and Facebook stalk people, what you got to do is you can only let them watch one movie every 2 years. That's our rule. So from right when they're born, they watch a movie, and then they get to watch one movie every 2 years, and that's it. But once they see that movie, they can watch it again, whatever. And it's like it's added to their library. And that's the rule until they're 20 years old. So they're only going to be able to see 10 movies until they're 20. And after that, they can watch any movies they want, whatever. They are basically an adult, so they can do whatever they want. It's a free country. Once you're 20, you can watch more than 10 movies if you'd like. So what we've done is we made lists. And this is going to be interesting because we'll find out if Ariel and I have the same parenting techniques.
I'm pretty sure we're not.
Well, first of all, I think the best way to determine if two people would be good parents together is to take a totally hypothetical, unrealistic, ridiculous premise, mm-hmm. and then see if we'd react the same way.
I keep shifting things on my list because this is really, really tough.
It's like if we had a kid and then they learned how to fly and be the only person in the world that could fly, mm-hmm. And we could only, when they're flying, could only give them grape juice. How many pieces of ice cubes would we put in the grape juice? It's like that kind of question. I was trying to think of another ridiculous thing. I thought that was pretty accurate. Just so anyone knows, if you want to comment or question us or anything, you can call in during the show at any time. It's 707-981-7577. That's 707-981-7577. Easy to remember because Sonoma County, area code 707-981, the first three numbers of the number, and then 7577, the last four numbers of the phone number. Easy to remember. If you call, you'll go right to us, and we'll pick up and we'll put you on the radio. So Ariel, I don't really have anything else to talk about before this today. No political stuff because you guys know everything is
nothing's
something.
Happening, Phil. So
That's
there's
true.
never anything to talk about.
Hey guys, register to vote. It's fun. It's easy. Do you remember the first time you registered to vote? Do you remember how you did it? Oh, come on. It's gotta know.
I don't remember.
I registered in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
It was the summer because I graduated high school when I was 17. I turned 18 like my third week of college. And that summer I was in San Francisco at some kind of event. I don't remember what it, like some kind of concert at the park or something. And there's someone walking around and with clipboards signing up people to register to vote. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I did, and it was pretty nice. It was really easy. Someone just walked up to me and said, "Here you go, fill out this stuff," and then it worked.
Nice.
Then there was one year I went to vote, and then I wasn't in there on their list, and I can't remember. And I ended up being able to vote. I don't remember what happened though. It was like I filled out a what's it called when you fill out a thing and it's not official yet, but it's like
A ballot?
a ballot, but it's a
Sample ballot?
not sample. I don't think it's like conditionary or it's a
Conditional?
conditional. Is that what they call it?
Conditionary is not a...
Yeah, I know, but so it's
Cautionary
like that.
conditional.
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but somewhere you still, even though they say you're not there, you still fill out a ballot, and then if you're are registered, then they include it. I don't remember. But anyway, it's been pretty easy for me to vote. But, I have every opportunity and stuff to do it. I don't think too many people are trying to stop my vote too much. All right. It's not like that for everyone. So if you have to work harder to vote, I'm sorry. But please try. If you want help, you can look on the internet and Google register to vote, ? Please. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, we can talk about our list some. So, Ariel, are you ready or do you want to do
Let's go.
something else first? Okay, so I want to start from when they're 0 years old. Provisional ballot. There we go. I got a text.
Okay.
Provisional. See, conditionary was pretty close. So again, this is the premise. We have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Only movies they can only watch one movie every 2 years. But they can watch those movies numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
But every 2 years, a new movie is introduced to them, and they can watch it. They can't watch any other movies any times until they're 20 years old. Then they can watch whatever movies they want whenever they want.
This is just so tough because there are such huge leaps.
Yes.
And bounds.
Right. And so this is the thing. We don't know, and we're making this list before the kid is born. We don't know what the kid's preferences are. We don't know how the world changes and what new movies come out.
Ugh,
exactly. We don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to do this.
We've got to.
We've got to do this because it's the premise for today's show.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you want me to start?
Oh boy, howdy!
All right. So the first movie they ever see, they're not even 1 year old yet, or 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna see Wall-E. Wall-E, they're gonna. Oh, I just screwed up. I was gonna read you a quote, and then you have to guess what movie it is. The first one I forgot. Here's the quote for Wall-E. Let's see if you think you would have gotten it. But life is But life is sustainable now. Look at this plant, green and growing. It's living proof he was wrong.
I have a question for you.
What's that?
Was that the movie Wall-E?
Yeah, good job.
Turns out I've got two questions for you.
All right.
Do you automatically assume that this child of ours would be a genius?
This is why I picked Wall-E. All right. Well, yes, because...
That's why I'm asking you that question.
Yeah.
Because that movie is a little steep.
It is steep, but here's the thing. This is why I picked it. Wall-E, there's not that much dialogue.
Uh-huh.
Very cute characters.
Mm-hmm.
They look cool. There's flying. There's cool robots. The movie has a good message, so if some stuff seeps through within the first 2 years while watching that movie, that's pretty good.
I feel like this is a social experiment.
And it's, well, yes, it is. And it's a movie I want to watch.
Yeah.
I think that movie is one of those where it will, especially this is 2 years, it's the only movie the kids are going to watch, so they're going to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have time to figure it out. And it's going to be planned in their head.
Before they have language, they'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, when you're 2,
Not all children.
Not all children, but some
and
could.
some kids do not speak in full sentences. It's car.
Yeah, I know.
Wall-E.
There we go. Yeah, and Wall-E doesn't even use full words.
They
So the
would
kid
have-
is smarter than Wall-E is. So that
would-
means they can watch the movie.
I wouldn't guarantee that. They would have, for sure, character recognition
Yeah.
and like story recognition of like, this is what happens at this time. But I don't know that they would really understand very much.
They wouldn't. Not at first.
Okay.
Later in their life, they will.
Yeah.
And they're happy that they had that planted in there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a movie, because you could go with most Pixar movies when they're a little kid. Not all, but most. And this is the thing. They're pretty. They look good. They have... Wall-E especially has physical humor
Mm-hmm.
and just stuff to look at. That's a movie where you can watch it and you could even have it on... and the cute sounds they make too. Whoa. You could just... you could totally have even if you don't know what's going on, I think it could be pleasing to the eyes.
My thing is that it's also a little bit dark. And
You think our kid's going to be a wimp?
well, I watch that movie and I get bummed out.
Yeah, me too.
Great. So
But
pre-programming
they
a
won't,
child.
they won't understand the sadness.
Children understand.
I know.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Well, it's still
Children
a movie
understand
has a good message.
tone. Like, okay. I think that that's a great movie choice.
Well,
I think
you.
that that's far, far too early to introduce it, because I think that it would be much more, it would have more of an impression if they were even 4 years older than that, 6 years older than that.
I think I agree. But here's the thing. Kids not even 1 year old yet. There aren't too many movies I feel like to choose from.
I have a pretty good movie.
I think you probably have a better movie. Than
Although I am going to admit right now, I started my timeline at 2.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So what can you think of one that you put before they turn 2?
So I can
Right
add,
out of the womb.
so I can add an extra.
Just push the baby into a TV. You
push
push
the
the baby
baby
out a
into
little
a
bit, and then you just sew the heads out, and then you have a screen. And you just start playing
I
it.
cannot believe that on the radio you said just push the baby out so the head's out a little.
That's it's childbirth. It's
Perfect
natural.
time for the
we're getting a
phone
phone call. All right, let me remember how to do this. Hello, thanks for calling KPCA. You are on the air with Phil and Ariel. How's it going? All right, nice.
Not go well.
Well, okay, so I don't know. Maybe that was inappropriate for me to say, but it's childbirth. It's natural.
No, it's not that it was inappropriate. It's the way you chose to
Okay.
describe it, which was very scientific.
Okay. Well, pardon me. Well, all right. So, what do you got?
I don't have a specific movie to start from. Well, yeah, I don't have a specific movie. I think that instead of even a Pixar movie, I might actually go with a Disney movie, which would absolutely have the effect of driving us crazy, but music would be involved.
I got music later.
That
okay.
would be something that a little baby would be interested in, because the different music could catch their attention. Whereas watching a story that has not a lot to listen to would not keep their attention that little.
Well, we can buy the kid a grand piano when they're a little kid. They can sleep on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a good point. I am not confident in any of my choices, but I did give him some thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's your choice? You just said Disney.
Yeah, I wouldn't choose necessarily like a princess movie, but I would, because there's already a Disney movie that comes later, but even like some other production company that actually includes songs in their movies, because it teaches the child, if they are hearing, and if they're not hearing, then that's a totally different thing.
But we don't know yet.
Yeah, we wouldn't know. We actually would know when they were babies.
No, we've making this list before.
True.
Before anything has happened.
True. So assuming that the child is hearing, having music would introduce, I mean, we would obviously play music otherwise, but that would be another thing that would aid in communication. And also just their imagination. Music adds a whole nother level. And I mean like sing-along kind of music, because that would also facilitate learning to communicate, is learning what those words are in that song instead of, I feel like I'm coming down real hard on Wally.
No, you can't.
But I feel like that's way too much for a 0 to 2 year old, like brand new baby, to be able to capture their interest. I think that's, no, I don't know.
You're probably true.
The musical
you are
aspect
probably true.
would be a bribe.
It has a score. I don't know who did the score, but probably someone.
Yeah, unless
professional.
that baby was born like a fully realized Mozart, I don't think that they go, a score. My instrumentals are telling me how to feel now.
Wally is kind of an easy word to say too.
Wally is an easy
It's
word.
easier to say than the Aristocats.
I cannot argue that point. But yeah, I think
that's a good point. All right, should I say my 2-year-old movie now?
I believe you absolutely should.
All right, they're 2.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the quote.
Okay.
Oh, here I didn't say before I started the list. These are the things that are important for the movie. It has to be entertaining and appropriate for that age, and have good lessons and morals. All right.
Okay.
So 2-year-old movie. Here's the quote: "You uncultured swine! What are you looking at, you hockey puck?"
It says hockey puck, so I'm going to say Mighty Ducks.
No.
Oh, no.
Toy Story.
Toy
Story. That age,
Yes.
they probably have toys. That'd be really mean if they 2 years. No toys.
Well, we're
nothing
already
else.
going. You can have one movie every 2
Yeah.
years. So that's, I mean, hopefully that means that this imaginary child would be in the outdoors. They'd be painting
Yep.
and like hanging out with friends and doing a bunch of stuff so that they aren't just focusing on a screen, which is not depriving them. But if you're just looking at it as all you get to do,
Oh, yeah.
one movie
Yeah.
2 years, then that's like putting a child in a prison. This
Yep.
is a Guantanamo baby.
They
It's a
get
terrible joke, but I still put it out there.
okay.
You said the thing about pushing out a baby, so I figured I had to keep up.
So Toy Story, it's got kind of everything you want in a kids movie.
And this is when the kid is 2?
Yeah, they know what toys are. They probably recognize some of the toys. Bright colors. Again, if they're hearing, there is some music and the interesting characters they're all very kind of over the top. Not over the top. They're very defined and very.
Oh yeah, they're very recognizable.
Recognizable. There we go. Yeah. Again, good story. And yeah,
I think that that's a good choice.
good way of using good imagination fuel.
Because when you first show it to them, I mean, it would depend on the personality of the 2-year-old, but they probably wouldn't be able to make it all the way through just because of attention,
Right.
maybe. Or they'd be like, yes, this is my truth now. But it's great imagination fuel. It would activate play by like imagining that their characters are like imbuing the toys that they have and that their toys have that private life. There are songs that aren't necessarily sing-along songs, but there are songs that could be incorporated into their life that would be comforting because they would remember Toy Story. I think that's a pretty good choice.
Thank you.
And there's much more depth in the plot, so like it would continue learning to talk and to talk better and practice, and because kids always repeat what they hear. I said that in such an exhaustive way. Ugh, they always repeat everything. Yeah.
Nice.
So
You're on your 4-year-old movie now?
2. You had me say 0.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Nice.
So from 2 to 4, Babar the movie.
Oh.
Because that's very much a story a lot of these I watched when I was little. But Babar is actually a French story, I think. But this movie is English, and it has songs that like little kids can learn. And there's a whole roller coaster of emotion so that you have like a bad guy, you have your good guys that have to go on this journey to put things to right. And so it's like, it's not so scary that it would be scarring, but it's like, oh, you're tense because you don't want Babar and his friends for anything to go wrong. And it's a character that's essentially a child himself. So there's like a closer relation in age and experience. Even though he's not 2 to 4 years old, he's still little. And so like when you're little, you recognize that being treated like you're little. And so I think that it's a great like soft story that has lessons to teach, and it's got interesting stuff to watch, and it's got all these different creatures being friends. So it teaches you that different people can be friends.
Nice. I don't think I've seen the movie.
I don't think you have either. It's not one that very many people have seen that I've talked to before, but it was one of my favorites.
Nice. Was there a show too?
There was a series of books that were very famous.
Okay.
And
That's
I
what I know.
don't know if there was a show, because if there was, it was probably by the time that I was too old to watch it.
Okay.
Or that I decided I was too old to watch it.
All right. My quote for our next one: 4-year-old movie. Nice men, Mary. We can't trust these people. I mean, look at them. Talk about a rogues gallery. Hideous. And as for that bearded baboon in the middle, he's hardly got 2 brain cells to rub together.
Phil,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Paddington 2.
And we watched that recently.
Yeah. Pat, you don't need to see the first one to enjoy the second one. It has a quick kind of little things. This is kind of how we got to where we are. Again, it is a very good story. Very sweet characters.
Yes.
It's about accepting people from different walks of life and everything. It's got funny. It's got some physical humor. It's cute.
Yeah, to build on it teaches you to accept people from different walks of life. It teaches you that without teaching you to be a doormat, which is what a lot of like princess movies teach you to do.
Exactly.
Namely, the Cinderella live action movie, which like the message was literally just be kind. And it's like you can be kind without letting people just walk all over you, coming for you, Cinderella. But like with Paddington 2, it does teach you to embrace people from different backgrounds, but it also teaches you that people are duplicitous and that people can tell you one thing to your face and be doing something else without your best, without any good intentions in mind. And so it teaches you subtext, which is really cool.
And I think at 4 you'd be able to follow the story for the most part. And you'd
be able to follow, there's a bad guy. I don't want that bad guy to hurt Paddington and his friends. Yep. And so like you'd be able to keep up with that much for sure.
It turns out there was a Babar TV show, 89 to 2002.
Wow. Yeah. Good job. Yeah. That's awesome.
Cool. All right. What's your 4-year-old movie? My
4-year-old movie is Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest.
Good choice.
Because that is another, and that builds off of Babar. It takes place with animals and fairies. But that one has a very deep meaning, as does Wall-E, which is save the environment. And there's also a very bad guy in it that is pretty scary. I'm still scared of that animation. It's voiced by Tim Curry, I think. And there's like the voice of Robin Williams. Like there's all this different stuff. And so you have like wacky side characters, and you have somebody who's kind of a jerk who gets forced into circumstances that make him see things from a different point of view. And where essentially, let's break it down to terms that we use a lot now, his privilege is completely removed because he's turned into a fairy. So he's not a person that can just stomp through the forest. He actually has to live in it, and he has to survive in it, and it's being poisoned, and he has to figure out how it can be reversed so that it can be lived in.
Don't you think they should pick Avatar instead, because it's like twice as long?
Avatar is just Pocahontas.
It's got some Ferngully mixed in there too.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah.
That's
a good choice.
No. But it also has little sing-along songs.
Nice. All right, 6-year-old movie.
Okay.
Muppet Christmas Carol. God, I forgot the quote again. I fell down the chimney and landed on a flaming hot goose.
Was that? Okay, when you say it like that, where you're like annoyed with yourself, I fell down the chimney and I landed on a flaming hot goose. It's really makes it an even better line, and I would not have been able to recognize it because I'm really bad at this game. So thank you for doing it wrong.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Great songs. It's fun. It's colorful. It's I don't know why I picked that age for that one. Like that could have worked for 4-year-olds also. But Muppet Christmas Carol has some kind of scary-ish stuff.
Yeah, and it's like
got some dark stuff.
Well, it's also like the family entertainment that we grew up with, which wasn't family entertainment as the buzzword for religious subtext, right? Or like, oh, it's so clean, it's perfect for children who have absolutely no idea what's happening in the world. Bananas. It actually had layers so that the adults watching it wouldn't go insane. And could enjoy some of the humor, which actually produced a generation of people who had pretty sharp humor. Definitely. Because they skipped a few levels. I think that would be fun.
I think 6-year-old, some of the stuff like the Ghost of the Christmas Future, I think would be a little scary, but 6 years old, I think you can kind of talk them through it.
Yeah, and I think that, depending on how you react to it, will also inform how they react to it. But also, that one teaches a lot of lessons too. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. What's your 6-year-old movie?
My 6-year-old movie is The Lion King.
Good choice.
It's basically Hamlet. It is Hamlet as a cartoon. But again, building on music, it's got a lot of stuff that would make a kid dance and sing. And they could engage through that. And it's a story about family, and it's a story about being alone and finding family wherever, so that, you know, it kind of teaches. It's one of those stories that I don't want to use the word sneaky, but it subtly teaches kids, like, families can look like anything.
Yep.
Your family can be a meerkat.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember what the other animal is. A hog,
Mm-hmm.
a warthog. It's a lyric in one of the songs. Whoops. But that's one where I think I could hear that for 2 years. Maybe not every day,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not even every week, but I could definitely hear some of the music from that and not go bonkers. Yeah.
Nice. All right. 8-year-old movie. This is when they're starting to become adults. So 8 years old. Here's the quote. Wonderful girl. Either I'm going to kill her or I'm beginning to like her.
Nope.
Star Wars. A New Hope.
Nice.
I feel like that is an age. Like I saw when I was younger than that. But I feel like 8 years old is pretty good age for that.
I love that you have this on this list, and I totally agree with you. We would be watching the Star Wars by
Yep.
then. It's not on my list because of your rule.
Oh, well, this is the thing. When they turn 20, they go like, ooh, I have all these other Star Wars movies to
But
watch now.
put yourself in that imaginary child's shoes.
Oh, I don't want
You
this child. It's going to be
finish-
horrible.
You finish that movie and you go, I really wish that there were more.
Yeah.
So would you tell that kid, oh yeah, there's more,
Just
but
wait.
you can't watch it
Yeah.
until
Well,
you're
they
20?
would know. They would
Because then
know.
that's years,
12 years.
of having an incomplete story. And it's not incomplete because it's still in production. It's incomplete because your parents are crazy people.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have to, the parents are crazy people. We have to just accept because this whole premise is crazy.
Yeah.
And yes, that is a thing.
But mentally for me, like I can handle not knowing the end to a story when it's like a novel and I know that the author is taking a gajillion years to write it, but then I have to stop thinking about it because it like makes me sad that I don't know what's happening next, and like I just desperately want to know, and that's something that I struggle with
And
in my
remember,
adulthood.
you don't know what other movies are on my list. You don't know what
Looking
movies are
at
coming
you,
up.
Infinity War. If you have other Star Wars movies, then that would be like the rest of your list. And I struggled with that on this, and I think I have a workaround.
Okay.
But I do like, because A New Hope could technically be a full story. Like the way that it ends, they're celebrated, go into credits.
Yep.
Done. But I, as the adult in that situation, would so badly want to share the rest of Star Wars, because it would, whatever. Having A New Hope would be great because the Star Wars stories have a lot of action. They have a lot of like basic archetypes that you can follow and follow their loyalty. And then you can go back and see more and see more and see more. So there's just a bunch of layers.
Yeah, the kid has access to Wikipedia too. Like, just read about what happens. He or she.
What
Or-
are you doing
or
to
they.
this person, this poor Truman baby? This is such like a terrible.
It's horrible. I know. The more I do this, the more guilty I feel. Like the more I feel like, oh, this is getting
This is
depressing. But
Is this one of the production meetings for the Truman Show when they were deciding like,
oh yeah,
oh yeah, no, these are the 30,000 books we will have
Yep.
accessible, except it won't really be 30,000. It will be 30. And we will tell him that sports are good and not to read.
Yeah.
So that every once in a while I'll have the opportunity to read a book.
Yep. Yeah, this is a ridiculous premise, but whatever. It's
It's
fine.
a struggle.
It is a struggle. All right, what's your 8-year-old movie?
All right. So my 8-year-old movie is actually Anne of Green Gables.
Oh,
And this is very skewed to if this child was a girl, I think. Having
Well-
Anne of Green Gables or identified as female.
well, you have to you have to pick movies that seem like that it doesn't matter what the kid is into or something. You think
Yeah,
they still
this
find
is
a way
the
to like
only one on my list.
it. You're taking a risk.
Yes. And it's because I love Anne of Green Gables
Yeah.
so much. And I
Do you
don't-
like it more than the book?
I'm going to be real honest with you.
Uh huh.
I've never read the book. all
Oh,
the way
okay.
through.
No, no, cool.
I've had it
Then
my entire
probably is.
life. Never read it all the way through. And I should. I absolutely should. But I loved the movie so much. And I loved it because of like the life that people lived. And yes, it was very white. And there are a lot of things. It was of its time. All that. But I love the stories that are very simple And they also teach lessons like, calm down.
Nice.
Don't punch people in the face because they call you carrots. Just don't do it. Yeah.
Nice.
My explanation for it's very weak, and I acknowledge that.
Well, sometimes if you just like a movie a bunch, you want your kid to see it. Next, 10-year-old movie. The quote is, Martin Sheen? That's President Kennedy, you idiot.
Nope.
No, The Goonies. 10-year-old, again, The Goonies.
That's my 10-year-old movie, too.
Seriously? Mm-hmm. Nice. Pick the same. We'd be such good parents.
This is the one time we've agreed.
Yeah. I feel like that is the right age for that. Again, it's got some dark kind of scary stuff, but I don't think too much for 10-year-olds. I think they're around 10 or so probably in the movie. And it really has that kind of, makes you want to go explore an adventure. And it's an exciting thing that feels like...
they're probably actually like 11 or 12.
But
that doesn't make a big difference.
10 is the new 12.
Yeah, it is.
So... that one would pretty much just be for fun and to make kids just want to go on adventure and imagine doing that stuff and being a team and I think that is a good choice. What's your reasoning for The Goonies?
That it's an adventure movie.
There we go.
It's an adventure movie with kids of different ages, so it kind of, I remember being like, say 11 and being really intimidated by older kids because they were older. They had different privileges. They had different experience, all that different stuff. And in this movie, they all have to work together and they all have to acknowledge that each one can bring something to the table, even if it's a really nerdy kid with a backpack full of Inspector Gadget bits. He's got real value as a person. And there are pirates, so I mean, come on. And the scariest thing in that is the blender scene.
It's got so much humor.
It's got so much humor. But when I was a kid and I saw that scene really scared the pants off of me. And so I think that as they got older, they'd be able to see the humor in that scene more. But when they're 10, they'd be like, what the heck is happening here? Which is fine, because I think that that's an experience that is valid for a kid to have too, is to experience what it is to be not okay with something happening.
Yeah. There are a lot of scary parts of that movie. But 10-year-old kid's gonna be brave. All right. Next up, 12-year-old movie. The quote is, personally, I liked the university. They gave us money and facilities. We didn't have to produce anything.
Ghostbusters.
Nice. Good job. I think that
would become their obsession.
Yeah. I think I watched it when I was much younger. I was really into it, but I don't think I watched it too early, but there's only certain movies that in our world they can watch it. And I think that they'll get enough of the jokes. It's fun action. Again, it's a little more scary than Goonies probably, or I don't know about that, but it has a few, the library scene's actually pretty scary. So I think it's the right amount of scary for a 12-year-old.
And it would offer something to talk about with your parents, with your bonkers, terrible scientist parents.
So I think it is a fun. That's my favorite movie, so I wanted to see it.
Nice. This is where my list starts to hit some roadblocks.
It gets tougher. I think I don't know if it gets tougher, but it's tough all the way through.
No, I've got 2 more, and then the last 3 are blank.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure.
See if we can think of some as we go.
So
your 12-year-old movie?
My 12-year-old movie. This is my workaround. The Lord of the Rings supercut that someone put together.
Oh, someone put together.
See, you didn't specify that it had to be a legally released version.
Okay, that works. That works.
This is one that someone put together.
Nice.
And that way they would have the full story arc.
Oh, imagine.
And someone actually messaged us and said, nothing based on books. I disagree, because having the film version and the book version, they can see the differences. It evolves their sense of storytelling. They could even think about why the filmmakers chose to put in what they put in. It could enrich their book reading if they see the movie first and then they have like faces to put to the characters if they're that kind of reader, whatever. And then they could read the books and be able to care about what's happening in the books, so that the thick, dense, like really painful language doesn't just make them stop. And
imagine that kid, and every year it's like movies like hour and a half to 2 hours, then like here's a 9-hour movie for you. Yeah. Enjoy.
And it would be broken up. It'd be like, great, we're gonna go to bed tonight. And then
I know
we'll
you have to watch all at once.
Nope.
Oh, that's true. We didn't make those rules before.
No, we did not. So you cannot enforce them now.
That's true.
I 1,000% am taking advantage of the loopholes.
Nice, good job.
Because like they are such dense, such long movies that they would be a real testament to patience and learning how to watch something really, really long. But it would give the satisfaction of introducing what a trilogy is and what it is like. Yep. And like pacing in movies and pacing in stories. So there are a lot of lessons on the surface.
Yeah. Nice.
About the art of the film.
Yeah. That's talk about imagination. That's a world to get super lost into.
Right? Which is why I had a lot of, I'm really glad that you put Star Wars on your list, because I was like, well, if I put one Star Wars, then I feel like I gotta go in real deep, because like I haven't read any of those books. I don't know about the quality of those books. I know the quality of the movies. Some of them are real iffy. Some of them are not iffy. We know they're bad. But like the world building is really, really cool. Lord of the Rings, I could sneak that in.
Nice. All right, 14-year-old. This is things getting tough. This is where the kid's gonna start to go like, I don't want to watch movies you want me to watch. They're gonna do that probably. Okay, if in this premise, our kid's going to have many problems. But this is one of them where when they turn 14, then they're going to be like, ugh, what movies my parents want me to see? Geez. I picked one. Here's the quote. There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? Do you know the movie?
No.
Back to the Future.
Good one.
There we go.
That's a good one.
I think is one of those all ages movies where it's actually all ages. They could see it when they're earlier. 14, I think, because they're just starting high school probably. So the stuff with like the relationships and crushes and things like that, they'll totally understand. They'll understand how time travel works. They'll totally know the DeLorean really well. All things that all 14-year-olds know. Yeah, I just seemed like I wanted to put that in there. It seemed like the right age, I guess. Again, you can see it like most of these movies. You can see when they. I think it's really good to see when they're younger too. But
this one would also build off of the
add.
Goonies and Ghostbusters, like that kind of 80s style would feel familiar.
Didn't notice that. Yeah, 3 80s movies in a row. Yep. Yeah, here we go.
So they would have the problem that I had when I was a kid, where I thought that I was growing up in the 60s.
Yeah.
And they would think that they were growing up in the 80s. Nice.
Okay. What now? You have another one for your 14?
Yeah. My 14 would be Black Panther.
Oh, good choice.
Because there's a lot of style in it.
There's
a lot of story in it. Yeah. And they could totally then go into the world of comics.
Yep.
And Black Panther is such a tightly well done movie that when they turn 20 in 6 god awful years, they can watch all the other Marvel movies and give depth to the world that way.
Yeah.
But by seeing Black Panther, they can be just like wowed by how awesome that movie is and want to go see the comics. So they could like totally have a new.
Yeah, I should have put that on my list. I think that might take place my 16. Because I noticed my list is a lot of mostly just white people, and which is not good. Like Paddington 2, again, mostly,
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing it. I tried to look at mine and tried to weed it out, which is why I felt pretty weird about Anne of Green Gables, is because that is exclusively white people. There's not a person of color to be seen. But in the animated movies, there are different cultures that are being represented, and you can even take the metaphor of different creatures as being people of different races, ethnicities, and cultures.
Yep.
And the same is true of The Lord of the Rings, even though the main characters are all white.
All right.
But Black Panther, I feel, is like a really, really good,
Yeah.
solid, awesome movie in which you can show people of color as people of strength and people of depth.
Oh, no, we should have done this where each year the movie had to have that number in the title. So 12, you'd have 12 Years a Slave.
Oh my god.
2, you'd have 28 weeks later. Yeah, that's pretty bad. All right. I'll tell you what my 16 was before you mentioned Black Panther. It's very different. Here's the quote. Last week, Japanese scientists explained, okay, never mind. Here's the quote I have. Is last week, Japanese scientists placed explosive detonators at the bottom of Lake Loch Ness to blow Nessie out of the water.
I don't know what that is.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
Napoleon Dynamite, I think, there's a couple reasons. It's fun. I think it's really funny. And again, it teaches acceptance and being yourself, and people are going to be different, and you should, again, accept that. And when they're 16, they're right in the middle of high school, so I think it'll be relatable in some ways because of that. Yeah, I think Black Panther's a better choice, though. All right. Okay? So now, have you thought of any more?
I'm like so stuck. It's not even funny. Because I would want to actually. Sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry.
My mic use is terrible today.
Okay. Hopefully that should be a little better.
I would actually want to branch out into different cultures. So like foreign film.
Napoleon Dynamite takes place in like Idaho.
And so like I might want to go into like Japanese film.
So you'd be I had Japanese in that quote. So
Well, when I was in high school, I really hope I wasn't being pretentious about it, but this is such a pretentious thing to do, where I would just get so bored by the selection that Videodroid had that I just started to expand what I was watching to like everything that they had. And as a kid, I had a couple French movies, and I had a lot of French things that were translated to English. So like one of the first French movies I ever watched was Au revoir les enfants, which was about children in World War II and a school that is trying to hide Jewish children. And it's a heartbreaking movie. So I tried to think of foreign movies that I'd seen that weren't just like comedies or about romance, or where romance wasn't like the focus, where it was like a story with like large scope, even a revenge movie, And my mind is blank right now.
I got a text. Napoleon Dynamite might be a terrible choice.
You would be haunted by Vote for Pedro for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, okay. This is my thing. When they're 16, 14, 16, 18, I thought they're not going to care what I'm trying to teach them or anything. They're just going to want to watch a movie that's entertaining. And that's kind of what I thought there, which isn't the best. We're finding out you'd be the better parent.
Oh, okay.
I would help them make lists if that's what they were into. All right. So you'd pick like a good movie that teaches them about a bunch of stuff.
And I was just asked the selection that What had. My local video store was the chain Videodroid. Yep. And so that's where I would go to rent movies.
And they had one. The one in Santa Rosa just closed, I think, like within the last couple of months.
No.
Yeah. All right.
This was even before Blockbuster got really huge.
All right. 18-year-old. I picked a movie. I'm not happy with my choices, but whatever. Here's the quote. We met at Starbucks, not at the same Starbucks. We saw each other at different Starbucks across the street from each other.
I like the quote. Don't know what it is.
Best in Show.
Nice.
That's just a funny movie.
Yeah.
I just like that movie a lot. I think at 18, you get all the humor, and it's that simple. That's one where it's just like, hey, you want to watch a movie? Dad, I don't want to watch a movie anymore. I don't want to watch your movies. I can't wait till I'm 20. Here, this one's funny. Fine, I'll watch it. And they watch it. Oh, it's pretty good.
Here's the thing, though, is you thought that movie was really funny because you'd been experiencing humor like it before that. Whereas, like, the first movie by Christopher Guest that I ever saw was
Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap. And I hated it. And I'd been watching movies that my mom had been showing me for years. Like, I think she started sharing movies with me when I was like 8, 7. And I hated it. I could not keep up with the pacing. I didn't realize like where all the jokes were.
Right, but you saw it much earlier than when you were 18.
Yeah, and then I saw it again later, and I still didn't like it.
Right.
And that was based on a previous thing, but when I saw Best in Show, I was much older, and I didn't like it when I saw it.
I thought you loved it.
I like it now,
Oh.
but I did not like it when I first saw it, because that kind of humor for me wasn't my kind of humor. And if this kid is having the disparate experience in movies and the language of movies and comedy through movies, there's no guarantee that they would think that that movie is funny, because it's not funny to everyone, which is why it's what it is, because it's like outsider humor. But like, and it's very sophisticated humor, but you have to develop a taste for it to recognize it. Otherwise, you're just like, I don't want to watch this movie.
I get it, but maybe the kid would have similar sense of humor to us.
But we have the sense of humor that we have. Like, I mean, if we were who we are now, which is very hard to imagine because of all these rules that we've created, our senses of humor were developed by the pop culture that we saw and the pop culture that our parents were exposed to, and our parents' senses of humor and our siblings, and all of those things were influenced by a lot of stuff. It was just like a brew of things that popped us out. And so if this kid's running around the forest, let's imagine, and like having an active social life, doing stuff actively, they're not living in a closet underneath a staircase, there's not necessarily that same guarantee, because the things that influenced us and our sense of humor won't be available to them.
Well,
but they will
TV.
be. Oh, they can watch TV?
Well, yeah, I never said no TV.
All right, then. Yeah. Best in Show. Nope. Yeah. 100%. I was just like, somehow I was taking this to be like, this is the only
There's so many
entertainment
factors and things. There's no reason to assume that they could watch TV. There's no reason to assume anything. This is
so if they
such
have,
a horrible premise.
If they have exposure to TV, then fine.
Okay.
Because there's a wide variety of comedy.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, if this was the first like talkie that they saw with this kind of humor, I would not guarantee that they would think it was funny.
That's true. Well, Napoleon Dynamite was first.
And it's the same thing with Napoleon Dynamite.
Well, they saw Back to the Future before that.
Mm-hmm. But that's what?
Very
that's just so different.
All right. Well, I've got one more movie, but do you have any more? Do you think of now?
Nope.
All right. Number 20. Here's the quote. How do you teach sexuality? Is it like French? How do you teach homosexuality? Is it like French?
I don't know.
Milk. 20. They can handle it, I think. It's a tough movie, but that is, I'm going back to teaching lessons, and I think with their 20, they'd appreciate it. And this movie has a very clear, good message. Well done. That's it.
Yeah,
Kid, here you go. You're 20. Get depressed. Live your life.
Yeah, it's a biography, and it's definitely got exposure to things they would have presumably already been exposed to, but it would be important for sure.
Yep. I can think of better options for probably every choice I've made today, but
well,
except for Goonies, we both got Goonies the same. Yeah.
And we have to put this plan into action.
So Goonies was the only one that we both had on our list?
Mm-hmm.
That's not that surprising. No. This is tough. I don't know, Dad. I don't know.
Yeah, I would specifically want to show a movie about women's rights, but it would have to be a movie about intersectional feminism, not women's rights through the lens of white women. Right. So like, A League of Their Own is an amazing movie, but I don't think that I would want that to be the one movie that I show, because there's only one moment with a woman of color and she's just picking up a ball and proving that she can throw it, and then I don't think that you ever see her again. And yeah, so it's tough.
Yep.
Milk's a very good choice.
Thank you, but I'm less happy with my list now than I was at any point before this moment.
No, you've got really good
It's
stuff.
okay.
I'm coming from I just assume that like this imaginary child would be a lump of flesh with eyeballs when it
Right.
was pushed out, as you say. Where I think that you're starting from a much smarter point.
Oh yeah.
And then
Maybe.
I think your
And
movie
then-
list makes sense if that kid's way smarter.
And then it just becomes the kid doesn't. Just later I was like, whatever. Kid's gonna have to watch a movie. Just try to find one that's entertaining.
Well, by that point, after they watch Milk, do you think that it will be like the end of Lucy, where they just
Lucy, I was thinking
into
I
the
Love
internet?
Lucy. Yeah, probably.
Where they're like, well, now I learned all you had to teach
Yep.
me.
I know, flash drive.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
Ugh,
Big time.
that movie wouldn't be able to touch the list with a 20-foot pole.
Yeah. Oh, now they're 20. They have all these Star Wars movies to watch. They have the second Ghostbusters, Back to the Future. There's a trilogy. Are you kidding me? And
I
more
think
Toy Stories.
that if my parents had hid all of that from me, I wouldn't be able to speak to them for like 2 months.
Because you'd be busy watching movies.
I would be busy watching movies, but I'd also have to deal with all my emotions of
Yeah.
betrayal.
Imagine going
Wait,
off.
you knew that this is what happened to Luke, and you didn't tell me.
Imagine if like your kid finished high school and went off to college, and they still for like 2 years, like with friends. Let's watch movies. Like I can't. Sorry, parents won't let me. I'm stuck with Best in Show for the next 2 years. We can
Yeah.
watch that if you guys want.
I feel like a situation where this rule of list would be enacted would have to be a scenario in which we lived in a bunker on a mountain.
Yeah.
Because and that kid had no exposure to anybody else. Because going over to a friend's house, hey, you want to watch a movie? Well, my parents say I shouldn't. Sure. And then by the time they're 20, they're like, I've seen everything.
Yeah. All right, you ready for a little trivia?
Yes.
We have about 5 more minutes, and then we have full circle sessions with TJ Saeed. So stick around. All right. I'm going to say name a movie. You have to tell me if this movie has had a video game based on it that was released on a Nintendo console, a Nintendo video game. A TV show is based on it, or a Madonna song is on the soundtrack.
Okay.
So, video game
Nintendo.
based on a TV show based on it, or Madonna song on the soundtrack.
Okay.
Goldeneye.
Video game.
You are correct. Gremlins.
Madonna was on the soundtrack.
No, video game. Yeah. Flipper.
TV show.
You are correct. I didn't know it was a movie first until I looked at the list that I saw. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Madonna was on the soundtrack.
Yep. Can you name the song?
No.
Beautiful Stranger.
Nice.
Thanks. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Was Madonna on that soundtrack?
A TV show.
What?
Yeah, it's an animated show. And I think they might have another one where it was Ace Ventura as a kid.
Wow.
Too. Yep. Demolition Man.
Soundtrack.
No, video game.
Oh, I'm doing so bad.
No, this is tough. We're almost done. Police Academy starring Steve Guttenberg.
Apparently, all my answers are Madonna was on the soundtrack.
Now, TV show, 2 shows. One of them was animated. Die Another Day.
That's Madonna.
That's a Madonna song. You are correct.
That's a Madonna.
No video game of Die Another Day. A little surprising.
Not really.
From what I saw.
Not really.
Yeah, I felt like they were putting video games out for every Bond movie.
But that one, it was by a point where people were just very exhausted by it.
Yeah, probably true.
It was not great. It was Pierce Brosnan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
Don't.
I saw Goldeneye and Tomorrow Never Dies.
I saw
and
Die
then
Another Day in theaters.
I didn't see Die Another Day or The World Is Not Enough.
Oof.
Last one. Uncle Buck. Wait, I can hear the sound of your microphone cord. Go wobble, wobble, wobble.
TV?
Yes. There's a TV show. Live action. Here's the little synopsis from, I think, IMDb or something like that. Set sometime after the film, when his brother and sister-in-law die in a car accident, Buck is named as the guardian of Tia, Miles, and Maisie.
Oops.
It got panned.
I believe it.
The guy that played the main guy looked kind of like John Candy. Yeah, I didn't know about that. So, yeah, that trivia I came up with, I started doing that about 1:10 today because I forgot to do that.
Yeah, well, it was fair. We had a hiccup with our cat's health, so we were scared.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fine, guys, with our cats. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we got a minute and a half. I can talk about the KPCA Presents concert coming up at the Phoenix Theater. We just announced it recently, November 10th, 7:30 p.m. at the Phoenix Theater here in downtown Petaluma. We've got the second ever KPCA Presents concert with Vice Rain from San Francisco. We've got Agouti from San Francisco. We've got Ismay from Petaluma, and we've got the Drought Cult from Santa Rosa. So that's 4 bands, different kind of music. You got like kind of heavy rock. You've got folk kind of music, almost country-ish, kind of folk, country western-ish, western. You've got psychedelic rock. You've got dance, kind of call them like futuristic dance, synth pop kind of stuff. Guys, $10, 4 bands, KPCA. Let's show our support for the Phoenix Theater and local music, and let's have some fun. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, these are great bands. So yeah, the information you can find online. There's a Facebook event page. You can go to thephoenixtheater.com. If you follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Phil and Ariel, we post about it. Go to the KPCA event page or KPCA group page on Facebook. What else? You can email us if you have questions to philandariel@gmail.com or the station at kpca@pca.tv. Thank you very much, Ariel, for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
See you guys next week, and take care. Bye-bye. Stick around for Full Circle Sessions, please. Bye-bye.
Bye.